Hi guys, now if you were watching last week, we talked about the Ibis budget at Heathrow, which is worth watching the video because if you are on a budget when you're spotting at Heathrow, then it's a good hotel. You can get around the airport from there and there are a couple of rooms with views. However, if you're not on a budget and your budget is high, there is only one hotel for you. It's the Hilton at T2. Now, I'm going to tell you something about the Hilton at T2 if your budget can't stretch to a room. I'll tell you that at the end, so do remind me. The Hilton T2, it's slap bang in the middle, and on the top floor is the runway bar. And the runway bar has terraces that's looking over 27R and 27L. So no matter what the alternation is doing, you're going to see some fantastic views. Now, you can also book a room with runway views, and you can get, like on the 12th, 13th floor, you're going to get some stunning stuff. And I've stayed there and I've filmed live and I've done time lapses, so you get great views. One thing though, if you have that unlimited budget, don't bother with the junior suite. The views are better from the executive rooms, much better. And you can use the Hilton app when you book your room to request your room. So what I've done, and I'll put it up on the screen here, you've got the Hilton app, so you can pick your room and you can see where it's going, and then I sort of overlay that with another screen looking at flight radar and make sure I've got a room for the right alternation. And if you don't know what the right alternation at Heathrow means, well, next week I'm going to publish a video about Heathrow alternations. Because if you're spending a lot of money on a hotel like the Hilton T2 or the Hyatt or the Marriott, then you really want to make sure you're at the right hotel for the right alternation. And also planning your trip. You don't want to get on a bus over to Myrtle Avenue and find yourself that there's nothing coming overhead. So that's an important video to watch. So well worth subscribing for. Well worth ringing the bell. YouTube will let you know when I publish that. And if you check in the description below, you'll see links to all the other hotels that we've reviewed so far. And you will also see the routes to get from the Hilton at T2, which is very straightforward, getting everywhere, whether you want to go over to Myrtle, whether you want to go to the car parks, whether you want to go to the T5 ramp, whether you want to get over to Bath Road. It's all very easy to get to from T2. But to be honest, I don't know why you go anywhere else when you can be at the T2 runway bar. Now, I mentioned earlier using the runway bar and not being a guest of the hotel. Now, again, everything in this, it's not cheap, but you can visit the runway bar as a non-guest, but there is a minimum spend fee. Now, I've seen the minimum spend fee is quoted as £25 or £35, but if you phone the hotel up directly, tell them you want to go to the runway bar and ask what the minimum spend is, okay? Now, they'll clarify whether it's £25, £35. It's not a cheap bar, so it doesn't take long to spend that £25 or £35. However, I would recommend the dim sum. Have the dim sum and the Greek meze, couple of drinks, you've kept everyone happy, and you've got access to those amazing terraces. But another very important factor, whether you are a guest staying in the hotel or whether you are visiting as a non-resident, you cannot take a big lens with you. And they are very strict about it. So if you pull out your big camera with a big lens, they will ask you to stop filming and they will be very firm about it. Now, I normally film on my iPhone 15 Pro Max and I put it in a small rig. Now, iPhones, of course, are allowed and small pocket cameras are allowed. But I was on the terrace filming with my small rig, sort of holding something about that size, but it's just the phone. And basically, the girl came out and said, "Excuse me, you can't film with a big camera." I said, "Look, it's just my phone." And she was very confused and she said, "Oh yeah, it is just a phone." "Oh, sorry, you carry on. You do," she hadn't seen it. So phones and small cameras, no big cameras. But I highly recommend the T2. Whichever way you do it, get to the Hilton. And whichever way you do it, press subscribe, press the bell, share this on any forums, plane spotting channels, Facebook pages, anything you want. Because as I said, we've built up quite a few hotel reviews now, and I'm going to show you a few more at London Heathrow. Thanks very much for watching and happy spotting.